Okay, so this is part 3 of identifying differences between Homer's Odyssey and Epic the Musical, and we are going to talk about Circe and Calypso. So in Epic the Musical, Odysseus is shown to be very clearly resentful towards any kind of sexual or intimate relationship with either Circe or Calypso. With Circe, it's more of a divine influence situation, and with Calypso, it's more so like she has been captive on an island for a very, very long time and is looking for companionship. However, it is very heavily implied that she does. Yeah, so that's not good. Anywho, so in the Odyssey, in Epic the Musical, where Odysseus is shown to maintain fidelity to his wife, he is shown to be very resistant to any advances. In the Odyssey, that is the opposite. However, it is not necessary. It's not willful of him either. It's not by his own consent. So when they are trapped on the island of Aeaea, which is Circe's island, and Odysseus' men have been turned into pigs, with the help of the god Hermes, and this is in Homer's Odyssey, with the help of the god Hermes, Odysseus is able to resist Circe's magic, but forces her to swear an oath not to hurt him. So after that, he basically stays with Circe for a year, and it is heavily implied that they do become lovers, and eventually it is Odysseus' men who do convince him to continue on the journey home. Now, with Calypso, I don't think I'll pronounce his island name right, but Ogygia? Yeah, Ogygia, that's what we're gonna go with. So Odysseus is held captive by Calypso on the island of Ogygia for 7 years, and she is very much in love with him. And she wants to make him her immortal husband. And he's like, no, I want to go home to see my wife. However, it is heavily implied that they do have a sexual relationship. However, this is not one based off consent, but more so Calypso's coercion, especially since Odysseus spends most of his days weeping and longing for home, and eventually Zeus does order Calypso to let him go. Now, this all comes back to the big question of fidelity and cheating. However, what people can view this as in Homer's Odyssey is that, in terms of like Calypso, it was more of a sexual exchange where Odysseus was sleeping with Calypso so that he could revert his men back to humans and so that they could continue home. And with I'm sorry, that is wrong. More so with Circe. And yes, it's more of like an exchange, but also divine influence. She is a sorceress. And then with Calypso, it is, I'm going to sleep with you, so you won't kill me, but I'm not going to be your husband. But it is more heavily projected in Epic the Musical that Odysseus is staying faithful to his wife. And while that is also implied/portrayed in the Odyssey, Odysseus does have relations with both Circe and Calypso, but more so out of the need for survival and divine influence. So, yeah.